Welcome. Um, I want to thank everyone for joining us. I'm going to be interviewing now the recipient of the Orgullo Boricua 2023 Award for Distinguished Achievements in Education. And the recipient this year is President José Cruz Rivera, who is the president of Northern Arizona State University. First, congratulations, Mr. Rivera, and thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I just want to go through a couple of quick thoughts, quick questions with regard to your position there. First of all, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're the first Latino president of a state university in the state of Arizona, not just Northern Arizona State University, but in the state of Arizona, I think, in the state's history. Is that correct?
Actually, I think I'm the second. I believe that the University of Arizona decades ago
okay.
had a Latino president, but definitely the first here at Northern Arizona University.
Yeah, but well, so it has to have been quite a while since they had a president of the university who was Latino, and obviously that's noteworthy because of the demographics of the state and how they have changed considerably, especially since 1990. But congratulations on your position there. Now, you've been in your position since June of 2021. So far, what's been the most gratifying aspect of your job since taking over that job?
So there's so much good that's happened since I took this job, but I would say the most gratifying aspect or accomplishment, if you will, is the fact that in very short order, the entire university community came around to articulating a vision for the future of Northern Arizona University. And we have also not only put that in writing and held ourselves up for scrutiny as to whether or not we are advancing that vision, but we have many accomplishments during the last 2 years that point to significant traction in moving towards the goals that we professed for ourselves.
And what were some of those accomplishments, if you want to touch on the highlights?
Sure. So our vision has three major components. One is we want to be the nation's preeminent engine of opportunity, which speaks to broadening participation and access into our academic programs, a vehicle of economic mobility to ensure that our programs are positioning our students well for careers of consequence and lives of purpose, and driver of social impact. We want to make sure that we're really advancing the needs of the people of Arizona, not only through our graduates when they're out in the field, but also through the research and engaged scholarship that we do. Some of the accomplishments: we've had back-to-back years of record incoming enrollment levels, which speaks to the engine of opportunity piece, the most diverse class, the largest class, most Arizonans in our class, most diverse class, most first-generation class in the history of the university. We recently were elevated to Tier 1 of the Third Way Mobility Index, which tracks economic mobility. So that speaks to the value of our degrees. And of course, recently we announced the launching of NAU Health, which will do much to serve the social needs or the health needs of the people of Arizona, speaking to social impact. So we set a vision and we've been moving to advance it with very good results.
Congratulations on those advancements thus far. Now, I know that you began your job basically amid the pandemic, which was difficult for everyone. Must have been a challenge for you. What kind of challenges did you face when you walked in the door with regards to the pandemic, and how have you overcome those?
Sure. So some of the challenges were similar to what other colleges and universities across the country were facing. It's how do you continue to advance your educational mission while at the same time protecting the health and safety of your students, faculty, and staff. I came to NAU in the summer of 2021 after living the first 9 months of the pandemic in New York City, the epicenter of it all.
Wow. Yeah.
So I had a lot of experience with managing the work. I will say that we managed it very, very well in terms of ensuring the safety of our students and moving forward. some of the challenges are really challenges that we're seeing now in the aftermath. Although we're still not fully over it, as you know, but
Yeah, of course.
with the students that were in high school during those years, right? And now we're coming into the university with some different perspectives and certain loss of learning due to those experiences. So we have to adapt to make sure that they're successful.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I know there's been quite a bit written about the loss of learning, but I hadn't thought through necessarily that people like you are going to have to sort of adjust to that and manage that and kind of navigate that. And then, of course, there are for individual students who lived through the pandemic and went to university, mental health issues have been predominant. Has that been something that you've had to cope with?
That has been a big challenge. It is one that preceded the pandemic. We had been seeing in higher ed increased needs for mental health, but certainly the pandemic exacerbated that. We at NAU have invested significantly in counseling services, both in person as well as telehealth, 24/7 access to counselors. And that has allowed us to keep the wait lists down so that our students can get the service they need when they need it.
That's, yeah. Well, thank you for doing that work, of course, because it's critical for the student's success in the long run. Now, you, of course, are of Puerto Rican background, and I know that you went to university in Puerto Rico. Were you born and raised there? And how has your background, your family background, your educational journey perhaps applied to your career in academia and the role that you now have as NAU president?
Well, I was born in Bayamón, Puerto Rico. I would say that growing up, I was raised on the island for some years, but also traveled a lot. So I lived in Florida, in California, in Honduras, then went back to Puerto Rico for my high school years and my bachelor's degree at the University of Puerto Rico, Mayagüez. So I've throughout my early life, I was more often than not the other in the room. I was the new kid in school, and so I have that perspective of how it feels to be sort of the underrepresented person in a particular forum, and I think that has really shaped the way I look at advancing higher education for all, and how to make sure that we're providing the differentiated support services that students need to meet their full potential. And that's something I bring to the work every day.
And are you dealing with disadvantaged students in terms of, you mentioned first generation, for instance, college students coming from the Latino community, coming perhaps from the nearby Native American communities? Is that a substantial part of the population that you deal with?
Yes, so NAU is a Hispanic serving institution, so more than 25% of our students are Latino. We have the largest ever number of Native American students on campus this year. And what we try to do, particularly with our first gen, many of which also happen to be Latino, African American, Native American, and so forth, is to create an environment of inclusivity, where they have spaces on campus where they can affirm their identity, build community, and then have sort of that empowerment to and sense of confidence to contribute their diverse lived experiences and perspectives in the classrooms and outside the classroom. And what we've seen is that if the student feels they belong, if the student feels they are learning and that they are contributing to the learning of others, they are retained, they graduate, and they go on to have successful careers.
Of course, yeah. And if you don't mind, in closing, just some thoughts from you. You're in Flagstaff, Arizona, and Arizona itself as a state is not necessarily a state with the largest Puerto Rican population in the country by any means, but we do have a bit of a stronghold. At least our organization tries to do that work here. And just any thoughts from you as someone who's doing the job you're doing in this state and being recognized by our organization for this particular award?
Well, I think I should say we even have a Puerto Rican food truck in Flagstaff, even though we're not many.
Yeah.
we are well taken care of. I think there's two things. One is we need to work with our young students, Puerto Rican students, Latino students, students in general, to create college-going aspirations. There's this narrative that is taking hold that questions the value of higher ed and of going to college. There's a lot of information out there around the debt that you will accrue and whether or not you will be better off just not going to college. And I think we need to turn that around because it's clearly there is value in higher ed, and those college aspirations are important, so students will choose to prepare themselves and enroll in and succeed in getting their degrees. And then the other thing is to remind our students that they have, as we had the Secretary of Education here at NAU just recently for the United States, Secretary Cardona.
Yes.
We also had Vice President Kamala Harris visit our campus. And Secretary Cardona is Puerto Rican, right? And he was saying, we have this superpower. We have an understanding of multiculturalism. Many of us have at least at some level of bilingualism. And these are the assets that today really help young people as they pursue their degrees and get into careers in public service. The assets that differentiate them and elevate them in terms of their ability to better serve their communities. So not to lose sight of the fact that that we do have this incredible talent and gifts that should be developed for the benefit of others.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for, first of all, ascending to the position that you have now. I think it's critical for a number of reasons, not just for the community there and for the state of Arizona, but also obviously for young Latinos who aspire to do the kind of work that you do. So thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. And congratulations again on the award.
Thank you so much.